tweeted last night just because we had so many people. I actually grabbed the quarterbacks before our team meeting on Sunday, sat down with all three of those guys individually, and then I went around and talked to every individual position group in the offensive meeting rooms, just kind of talked about where the race was, why we went in a certain direction, and all on board to move together. I thought it's overall couldn't have gone any better, and I really complimented our other offensive players just on how they handled the situation. You know, it would have been easy for guys maybe to take a side, pick a side, have a favorite or something like that. I think everybody just wanted to get better. They wanted to see who could help us win football games, and the good news is, like I said, we got three quarterbacks can help us win. At the right guard position, I'm going to kind of give Costigan and Dan Bolts an opportunity to see who can make the most amount of gains here this week. Obviously, we'd like to name a starter before we start game week preparation, but we want to see those guys continue to work out. Robbie Burge has given us a lot of good things in there, but he's going to kind of learn a little bit more tackle this week because he definitely has to be a role player for us up front. And then other than that, trying to find wide receivers. Sam Arneson had a procedure done today with his knee. I don't know where that's at, so I'll give you that information as we know, but hopefully get him back sooner than later. And then on defense, really fun to watch. I don't think they're out there when you guys were in here, but had three all-starting linebackers in it together with our starting defensive front. All the guys in the back end, when those guys are playing well, they're pretty physical. As far as the kicking situation, Jack Russell had kind of moved to the forefront as of late last week, moved him to the #1 field goal. He obviously converted 2 out of 4 here at the end, but is doing a lot of good things. Kyle went 4 for 4, was encouraging. The flip side of it, Kyle did a really nice job during kickoff. His first one was about 7 yards deep in the end zone with over a 4-2 hang time. So even if they could split those roles, I think we'd be a stronger unit overall. So other than that, open it up for the questions.
You said with Danny, a lot of the numbers were close, but there would be some things that stood out. What
yeah.
was it in the end that stood out?
Number one thing, it was funny, I was driving into work today and I had somebody comment, and I heard a radio guy say that it was based off of games that he hadn't started here, which is completely false. It's more based on what we've done since we've seen him here. Number one thing probably, Tom, is by far turnovers. You know, a lot of those guys were in double digits with turnovers through practice. 16, I guess it would have been. He had thrown 1. He had 1 out here today. The receiver fell down, so kind of you got to take those things with a grain of salt. And then I think just the presence he's shown since he's been here. Really good in all types of situations. And then the thing that's kind of intrigued me, I think, as well as it kind of awoke some of those other guys, his ability to make something happen when nothing is there. He has the ability to do some things with his feet that I didn't really know coming into this, that he was as good as he is.
Even though you haven't seen him start a game, does the 17 starts he have show up in the way he plays and give you a comfort level?
You know, again, Jeff, I think it's more off of what I've seen here. How that happened, I don't know. I only get him after his 3rd year, so I'm assuming that would have something to do with it, but not that Kurt doesn't. And Joel, during certain times, did as well, but I really think we got the best of both worlds right now.
Is there any legitimate doubt that it wouldn't be O'Brien?
Absolutely. I think we came in, and not only me as a head coach, quarterback coach, players, there wasn't any doubt that it was an open race for all 3 people, and I think it might have swayed back and forth between the 3 of them as many, for me, at least 4 or 5 times before the actual day. Warren Herring got slightly concussed at the beginning of practice. He was out here during a tackling drill over there. But even before that happened today, we decided to move Keith. He just did a lot of good things in the scrimmage the other day, and that was intriguing for us.
He was listed about 249. Where does he need to get his weight up to?
Well, we switched him at the post-spring, and he was weighing about 35. He went up to 50 over the course of summer. I don't know how much he's going to put on right now, but he just plays big. He's one of those kids that probably plays a little bigger than he is.
You split the quarterbacks on the backup line. Is Kurt a little bit ahead though, based on experience?
Well, I think there's different scenarios. You say, do we need him in the second quarter against you and I, or are we going to need him in the second quarter, the backup quarterback, in the second quarter against Nebraska? We don't ever know. I think the good news is we're going to keep repping him moving forward. One thing that I had a good conversation with Kurt was, I think in the past, like he and I only know the history, so that's why I felt it was important for me as a head coach to sit down and kind of, because I don't usually step into position meetings like that. I just felt it was important to come from my voice. And one thing we did share is, when he was in a 3-horse race with him and Dustin and Scotty, after we made a decision to go with Scotty, Dustin kind of took a 3rd seat role, but Kurt's got this year, but he's more than likely guaranteed another year, so he's got 2 years to play. Just that wasn't going to be an automatic shifting to the 3rd spot.
What's impressed you most about Danny through camp from when he started until now?
I think maturity-wise, just the way he handled the situation. At the beginning, I talked about how well our guys handled, his situation. There's guys that live with Kurt, there's guys that came in with Kurt, guys that know Stavi, guys that are in the same class as Stavi that are out there. And the one thing nobody did is pick, and I don't think Danny did as well. He didn't try to gain all this allegiance with certain groups. He just did his business. I read some of the comments that he said to you guys about, whoever wins this, we're here to support him. We're going to do the best things we can. I don't think that was verbiage. I think it was legitimate from the heart of a person that loves to compete and win.
What prompted you to announce it on Twitter?
What's that?
What prompted you to announce it on Twitter?
Because I figured you guys, somebody cracked the code before I got a chance to announce it. No, I threw it out to Brian. I said, hey, we met today. I've talked to everybody I need to talk to. What do you think? I don't limit my players with social media. As a head coach, if there's something there that get our fans excited, I think anything you can drive a Badger fan base, or just right away. We were actually at a team function, so I wasn't watching TV or anything, but I started getting hits from all my buddies, about, hey, glad to hear, da-da-da-da, so I knew it was out there.
Speaking of Twitter, who wins the red shirt battle? You or Vontae Jackson?
You know what, Vontae? You guys asked me who I thought might play, and all I did is gave you some things, and we had a big personnel meeting on Sunday, and we've kind of made the decision that, he probably is our fourth, if not fifth, and fifth tailback. Now, where he could fit on special teams, Thomas Emick had a conversation with him that was strictly tailback oriented, not team oriented. So Vontae came up to me right as a ghost yesterday, and he goes, Coach, I hadn't seen anything, so I don't know what he was talking about. I still haven't, but I figured there's no a redshirt thing is something that we discuss as a staff. We sit down and talk to the player. If it's a guy that we want to proceed where we want to play him, where I want to play him, with the coaches, we'll sit down, and ultimately the player always has the final say. Jay Valai, there's been probably a half a dozen players in the past since I've been here that have disagreed with whether or not we wanted to play him, and ultimately the player's decision always rides, because I don't want to have a player start off as a freshman that's disgruntled.
How unique, back-to-back years having a quarterback come from another program and just talk about in college football, you don't see that.
Yeah. I think it's guys that have taken advantage of a system that's out there. They've all graduated in an accelerated rate. They're both, in this case scenario, both of them came from coaching changes, so it was a situation for them that the NCAA allows an opportunity for like this to come through. On the flip side of it, we have a young man, Zach Brown, who transferred out and went to Pittsburgh last year and was able to help them play a vital role. We actually have a young man on our campus now that is going to go through senior year a year earlier and hopefully graduate on time, and may explore his options down the road. So there's a unique rule there that I think is a good thing, because it rewards academic success and it allows kids to chase their dreams. You know what? I've been impressed with him, Tom, as you guys can gather probably by visiting him. He's very intelligent, very athletic. He's one of those tenacious guys. We were doing an inside drill over here, and Moreland jacked him up, and his helmet came off. His helmet sideways, but he's still blocking the guy, and that's just typical Dan Volz. He's not going to quit until you knock him out.
Kind of unique that you're starting a freshman kicker, field goal.
We aren't there yet. He's listed number one. Yeah. I think the way Kyle kicked out here today, that'll probably be a live competition all the way up to the day it happens. I do think Jack, he reminds me a little bit. I'm not saying he's going to be this guy. He reminds me a lot of Taylor Melhoff when Taylor first came in. He's very confident, very, very mature kid. Even though he looks like he's 10, he acts like he's 25. So I think Jack's got a lot of upside.
Not listed on the 2D, but could you envision a scenario where Jesse Hayes and James Adianju could contribute at the end?
You know what? Both of them have to learn what day-to-day means, because Jesse on Saturday was not at an optimum level for us. He came out with a different attitude tonight and played extremely well. I have been happy with James Adianju. He's continued to flash during the course of not even in the fall camp here, but last spring. So both of them, one thing I know for sure, both of them have the talent to play here. Now they got to get the heart and the mindset to do it.
Any update with Fenton, AJ?
You know what, Tom? He's we're going to give him some series of, shots or things that are just going to relieve the tension in his back. He's tightened up back there right now. He did say today was better than yesterday, but I still think we're going to be lucky to get him back next week.